First thing I'm going to do is kind of hit it with this scrubby pad a little bit so that I can just kind of clean it up a bit before I start thinking about sanding. I'm just going to run this across the whole surface. This is technically sanding, but it's not very abrasive. So I'm going to be kind of really light with it and just kind of work my way around all those little edges I've worked on. And then see where I can get it from here before I start going into sandpaper grits. Just so everything's cleaned up, and I really kind of find myself a good recognition of my position. Here, where am I at? That's what I'm working on. By doing this sort of quick sand out with the scrubby. So kind of got it to where I'm really seeing my shape pretty clearly. Everything's pretty much right. I'm going to do some work with these edges. There's a couple of different ways to finish this. We're going to go ahead and go through the sandpaper grits though. So I don't have the same sandpaper as you, but I have these sanding meshes, which are pretty much the same, and they go through the grits at 600, 800, 400 I think, and I think the blue is the 400 to start with. So I'm just going to go in here and start sanding, and I'm going to be careful about not just sanding crazy because I'll lose all that definition I created. So I'm really working in these little edges that I created first as I'm going around this, because I don't want to lose any of that just by sanding it away. And I'm going to feel a little more comfortable kind of just hitting the whole thing now. I'll do the edges. I prefer to do the edges with sandpaper than a file mostly, other than that little straighten out I did at the beginning. Once again, because wax just goes when you start using abrasives on it in a way that metal doesn't. So using a piece of sandpaper is a nice way to get the edges without causing too much removal of wax that ends up changing your overall design basically. So this stuff will do the job on the edges. Now, just like metal, you go through all the grits of sandpaper and finish everything through that process. It takes a little while, but it's the same idea. You're just sanding just like you would with your metal. Just that it goes a little faster, but it's still sanding. So I'm going to go ahead and go through a couple grits of sandpaper and see how shiny I can get it.